John Miller, Chris Williams. From the Channel Seed Studios, it's Miller and Williams. Presented by Wild Rose Casino and Hotel. 3 locations in Iowa. 3 times the fun. You'd rather be here. This is Iowa Everywhere.
What's going on? It's Miller and Williams for the first time in 2023 with the football season, at least. My name is Chris Williams, joined as always by John Miller Time. We are presented by our friends at the Wild Rose Casino in Clinton, Emmitsburg, and Jefferson. They are a partner of Circa Sports, where I'm excited, John. I'm participating in the Circa Millions and the Circa Survivor starting this weekend in the NFL. I feel like that's something maybe next year you really belonged out there with me signing up for those things.
It hurt, but it didn't hurt because it was a self-inflicted wound. You invited me out. You said, "Hey, let's come on out to week 0. I'd love to have you out here in Vegas." I'd love to go to Vegas, but I just had some things going on in life. So seeing the videos of you and Haas, and I was jealous. Not even gonna lie. I'm sorry I didn't answer your 2:30 in the morning FaceTime.
Wow.
When my wife is like, "Who is calling you at 2:30?" I'm like, "Oh, it's just Chris Williams. I'm gonna hang up. And if he's in trouble, he'll call me back, and then I'll help him. But otherwise, I'm not doing this." But yeah, man, that I swear to you, I said it the day I was leaving Vegas in March, which no one ever says, "I can't wait to get back to Vegas," the day they're leaving after having been there for 5 days. I said I would do it again tomorrow. And that is just what Circa, Fremont, the whole Circa anchors Fremont. It is the lifeblood and heartbeat of Fremont. And it's one of my favorite places to be on the planet. And I'd say that having just literally gotten back hours ago from Vail, Colorado, which I love.
Yeah, how was that? That looked cool.
Wonderful.
I saw your pictures and stuff.
Yeah, it was just Colorado. Andrew and I were talking. We've got a freshman in high school. That's our youngest, and when she's out, we've been going back and forth about Colorado or California or both. And I think it's going to be Colorado.
You seem like a Colorado guy to me.
Yeah, just outdoors woodsman.
Yeah,
but really, to my roots, I'm a seedsman, and that's can a seedsman become a woodsman?
Channel seedsman,
absolutely. I assumed we knew that it was, but you needed to say that channel seedsman.
Working them in, baby.
Everyone in Iowa knows when you say you're a seedsman, you're a channel seedsman.
Just working it in, baby.
Okay,
so shorter show. We're just full disclosure. We're recording this later on Tuesday evening. And I do have a kid in the back watching Coco Melon. If you hear that annoying singing, I apologize, but this is one of those deals. Late at night, you're just trying to keep him quiet while you do the pod, right? We've all been there.
We've all been there, believe me. Yeah,
just keep him quiet while you get the pod done.
That's right.
Uncle John's got to give his take on the Cyhawk game. I'm not going to dance around it. Really annoyed that Donald Trump is going to be at the game on Saturday. And listen, don't make this a partisan thing. I don't want any of that circus coming around the game. And I'll also add, maybe you could take this as partisan. I don't believe it is, but it's already it depends on how you look at it. Cyhawk Week can be very divisive, or it can be bringing the state together. I try and bring the state together as, you take shots at your buddies and you have fun, but you try and not be mean-spirited about it. Donald Trump might be the most divisive human being on the planet in the United States of America, for sure. And now you're throwing that on top of it. They had problems with the entrances, getting people in there last week with this new ticket thing. Not that he's going to impact that, but I mean, when the Secret Service is in town, it does gridlock traffic. I know that they've dealt with this before. So is Iowa City, right? During election years, they will, as Pollard said today on KXNO, they grandstand and they kind of know what they're doing. I hate this because it's already taken the attention off of the game, and I don't know, right. John. I really, really, really hate that he's going to be there.
I concur with you. I think that this game, these two programs, the work that I was, I've heard you. I was actually tuned in a couple times when I was on vacation, watching you and Chris with the two guys named Chris, and I've heard a few things. It's like this Iowa State's facilities. You talked about having this is your 19th year, how things don't look anything like they used to look. This is a showcase for Iowa State athletics. And Donald Trump or Joe Biden or just it's not necessary. It's not needed. I don't know what it's going to do for Trump. I have a hard time believing that on this day in the year of our Lord 2023 that anybody's like undecided on whether or not they like Donald Trump or don't. It is pure grandstanding. It's going to cause logistical issues for the fans that are being there. Matter of fact, if anything, Trump might piss some people off and move them to that side because it made it such a pain in the ass to get to their game, to get to their seat. They had to wait for Donald Trump to get into his elevator to go up there maybe a half. I mean, what we should have an over under. Call up Mike Palm at Circa and say over under on what minute of what quarter Donald Trump leaves. I'm going to say I'll put the 6-minute mark of the second quarter. He's not there past that. And if we had a mic on him, he'd say,
I'd take the under.
Out of here. Yeah, I'd take the under. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, guy doesn't know what Dairy Queen is or what a Blizzard is,
I'd love to know how it works. Like, does Donald Trump just because it's not like Iowa State is like calling him up and saying, "Hey, we'd like you to come to the game." Like I've seen like, why is Iowa State doing this? Like it doesn't work that way. Like, does he just like call up and say like, "Hey, I'm gonna come and do this"? I saw Matt Whitaker, a former Hawk, and Jack Whitver, a former Cyclone, were both on the press release thing. Like, I just wonder how it works. Like, if Mike Pence wanted to come to the game, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a weird.
Yeah, my guess is Trump's people called him up, said that President Trump would like to come to the game, and if Iowa State would say no, we would have heard about that because it would have been all over Truth Social. The horrible, corrupt Jamie Pollard. Yeah, the liberal, horrible, corrupt Jamie Pollard not allowing me to come to the great state of Iowa and witness the state's annual Super Bowl is a travesty and a assault and spitting in the face of truth and justice in the American way. And you people should not stand for this. He's a horrible, failed athletic director, blah, blah, fucking blah.
Well, my big thing, too, is I love pregame. Like, the best part of the game is pregame.
Yeah.
Because you get,
the anticipation.
And at Iowa State, it's really cool, too. Not that it's not at Iowa, but everything's in one spot, right? We all know this. And, like, it's a really easy access to watch the teams walk in. You got the bands running around. And I'm just dreading the protesters. And because it's on a college campus.
Right.
Like, it's going to be a freaking zoo. I'm just not looking forward to it.
It may. It could. I'm not saying it won't. But again, there's already going to be a lot of people there tailgating and partying that don't have tickets. That's the way that it is in Iowa City. It's the way that it is in Ames. It's a fun party to go to. It's one of the most fun parties of the year, I would imagine, on a statewide level, even if you don't have tickets to the game. I don't know, man. I mean, maybe some people are going to go over to his motorcade.
No, I'm not saying those people. I'm saying like the political science majors and the feminism movements on campus, like that. Like these people who would never be at the game are going to be. This is a high-profile way, and they have a right to do this. If
it's a good media, it's a good media op for them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I could just. No, I'm not talking about like Luch and his buddies, or I'm not talking about the people at D6. Oh, they're gonna.
Lucci's a big Trumpy, is he?
Well, I don't know. I didn't even mean it like that. I mean, I'm saying I don't think these people like that are smoking ribs over by Hilton are gonna be like, hey, let's go and boycott Trump.
Agreed.
That's not what I'm talking
Agreed.
about. I'm talking about
Yeah.
the Democrat group on campus that wouldn't normally go to a football game. Now they're going to be all, this is a great media opportunity for them.
Yeah, you're right. It could be. And I think most Iowa State fans and most Iowa fans that are there tailgating, they're not going to say, hey, let's shut her down 30 minutes early so we can go see Donald Trump from 100 yards away behind his motorcade. And how do you even going to know it's him? Just look for the orange one. They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that.
Chris Hassel about those motorcades, and because he lives fairly close to Mar-a-Lago.
Oh, geez.
And it's a disaster when
he can't get out of his driveway some days or something.
I mean, I don't know of that specific, but I'm sure we'll talk about it on Thursday. But yeah, it's not cool. It's a pain in the ass. And that day's a total pain in the ass anyways.
You're right. It's a pain in the ass day. And I will say this, and I certainly, now that I'm no longer in the chair in Des Moines and haven't been at KXNO since 2010, it's been a while, and I no longer have a website, and I just don't play that hawk character anymore for the rivalry's sake. The times I've been there to Ames, I love the environment there. I love the environment in Kinnick. But to me, I've always felt like it felt like a smaller version of Arrowhead, which I'm going to Arrowhead on Thursday night. And I love it. I really love it. And the new, campus. What's the name of Jamie's new Cytown? Apologies. That new Cytown right there north and between Hilton Coliseum and Jack Trice. That's going to be incredible. That's going to bring so much more juice to that area. It's going to be like a tunnel of just pure fun. And this is an amazing fundum. There you go. An amazing thing whenever Iowa and Iowa State play. And I hope that they do continue to play. I know I've said before, I've played it off like, who cares? Make it go. It's just fun. But it's fun for me because I live in Kansas City. I don't have to go to the Hy-Vee and have people get in my face, or the day after Iowa State beats Iowa on 5 shaggy field goals, somebody comes and TPs my house and things like that. I don't have to live with that anymore. So I don't get as caught up in that. But it's a showcase. It's a showcase of 2 very good football programs. And honestly, I don't know how this one's going to turn out. I felt a certain way this summer, but I don't know that. I don't know. Iowa State, with all their losses due to the gambling, Iowa has a couple of key losses due to the gambling, but Iowa State was hit far more than that. Iowa State has huge questions at quarterback. Iowa, I think, has more questions at quarterback than they thought they were going to have, because I don't know that we'll see a healthy Cade McNamara at any point in time this year. I do want to ask you this question, though. And I know I just segued off of Trump, and I apologize.
Yeah, good job. Get into the game. Good job.
Okay. Kirk Ferentz at his press conference on Tuesday, when asked about Cade McNamara's health, blah, 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 said, you're not going to see any quarterback sneaks, and you're not going to see any bootlegs. He's not going to be like Chuck Long in 1985, as Kirk Ferentz gives a 1980s throwback during a press conference. The streak remains intact. That seemed, the more I thought about it, the more uncharacteristic that seemed for Kirk Ferentz. Why would he come out and say those things if they were true? That's what I'm thinking. I know that you've been on this coach's lying thing for a while.
They're all liars.
Over under on Iowa quarterback sneaks and bootlegs. Combine them together. I'm going to say 1.5.
I was just going to say 1.5. That's the number I would put it at too.
I mean, you'd have to think about it.
I would almost say I don't know. Iowa's QB sneaks at more than 90% of teams in college football?
Minimum.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's got to be. I would have to take the.
But I'll say.
What if McNamara gets hurt? This Deacon Hill's going to be running all over the place.
Oh, yeah. If McNamara gets hurt, Deacon is going to be on the loose. And when old Deke gets that snap from center at 265, and he's got Hayden Large, for real fullback name, coming up from behind him, giving the old butt push, I don't know that there's much anybody can do about that. Deacon was made to be Iowa's quarterback, at least for the quarterback sneaks. Now, bootlegs, I don't know much about that.
Let me give you my read on Iowa here.
Yeah.
And you can kind of pick it apart. So I trust they'll get their special teams in line. Really weird opening game for them. They almost had 3 punts blocked.
They did.
One of them was, and then Tory Taylor's created in like an old like Chuck Norris vibe. Like anything he kicks, it doesn't matter if it gets blocked, it's going 40 yards.
I tweeted that out, and I'm like, this is going to piss some people off just because, like, oh my God, Tory Taylor still punted it 37 yards and it was blocked. Okay, whatever. But yes, go ahead. I love the Chuck Norris narrative.
So, like, I'm not worried about that. They'll clean that up. Their defense wasn't spectacular, but I've said all offseason I didn't think their defense would be as good as it was last year because that's really hard to back up. Like
last year was the best Iowa defense since 1981.
Yeah, that's my point. So it's like I'm not saying they're going to be bad on defense. It's just I don't think they're going to be as lights out as they were.
They'll be a top 20 defense. Anything over that, we'll see.
Yes, totally agree with you. The offense, elite tight ends, clearly more talent at wide receiver. We even saw that the other day. I mean, they some drops, but they'll be fine. McNamara's health, and I'm still not crazy about that offensive line. I still that's the one thing I don't trust them with right now, which is so weird, especially for a guy who's covered Iowa football as long as you have. It has not been the same since Chris Doyle has been gone. And I don't know if that's the reason why, but that group that they rolled out there on Saturday against Utah State, it'll get better because most lines do throughout the year. But I was expecting a lot more based on the words that were coming out of Iowa City this summer. That's my look at the Hawks.
I agree with you. I will also add that I think Iowa not having much of an idea of what Utah State was going to do on defense, maybe that played in, but it's still Utah State. So by no means am I sitting here saying you're going to see a much better group because Iowa knows Iowa State's going to play the 3-3-5 or the 3-3 stack, as Kirk called it today. I think that the line pass protected better than I thought. But again, we're talking about Utah State. Iowa shouldn't have struggled to average 3 yards per rush against Utah State. Shouldn't have happened. I will say that Cade McNamara's footwork was really impressive. I was like, wow, that was really impressive. So when he gets back and he was going through his progressions and he had some good time to pass, he really did a good job of going through his progressions, and his form, his technique is textbook, the way that quarterback coaches keep it. He's turning, he's looking through his progressions, and his feet are moving, and then he plants, and he was planting on the right foot. So oftentimes Spencer Petras had footwork issues. It was to the point where when his footwork was right, I would sit and say out loud, usually to myself, because I like watching games by myself. I'd say, that's a completion. And it usually was because his footwork was on. Iowa last week with Cade McNamara, his footwork was awesome. And another thing I love to see, and we have not seen this really consistently since CJ Beathard. Nate Stanley did it a little bit, is Cade McNamara is going to throw his receivers open. Cade McNamara very quickly could figure out pre-snap, usually, or within the first two steps of after the snap, which of his receivers was going to be in a one-on-one situation. When I say receivers, guys that could catch a pass, could be a running back, tight end, or wide receiver. And he went to them. And he went to them downfield and gave them chance to make plays. Nico Ragaini made one. Luke Lachey made one. Those are plays that a quarterback throws a player open that you see all the time on Sundays. You see all the time around the college football world, except for Iowa City the last 3 years. So I'm really, really excited about the package that Cade McNamara brings. I just don't think we're going to see a healthy Cade McNamara at any point in time this season. And I'll be really, really surprised if he doesn't miss a few games due to injury at some point in time.
Did you watch Iowa State, Northern Iowa?
I watched some highlights. I went through the box score and I listened to your analysis on it, which I think gives me a decent handle on it. Again, your thoughts to some people that maybe haven't heard them, which I'm guessing most people have that listen to the Iowa Everywhere Network, because Two Guys Named Chris is just a Cadillac show, and that's the one that everyone listens to. It is
Cadillac
the offensive
Williams is my
line.
nickname.
That's right. The offensive line, rebuild, reshuffle, or whatever it is. You seem to be more impressed with the offensive line. I think you may have said it has a higher floor than you thought.
Yeah,
they were gonna have.
That game was really weird. You've seen a million of these with Ferentz, where when they get that comfortable lead, you just put the Ole Anaconda on and it's over.
Yep.
And I felt like when they had their foot on the gas, they were pretty good on Saturday. Not great. I mean, they were okay. Last year they were terrible. It was really in that second half against Northern Iowa where they, getting a couple yards per carry, that type of deal. And a lot of fans, and I said this on the post-game show, that like it was underwhelming watching them in the second half. You would have hoped that they could have just shoved it down Northern Iowa's throat. And
right.
When I watched the tape back, though, it was like, I mean, Northern Iowa knew exactly there was nothing flamboyant about what they were doing at all.
It was a bland game plan.
It reminded me so much of watching Ferentz in the second half. When Iowa's overwhelmed an opponent. How many calls have you gotten on sound off over the years where, we didn't step on their throat in the second half, John.
Right.
I didn't like it, But it's like when the defense knows what's coming, you've got backups in there. I don't know. Like I'm not crazy like bullish on the Iowa State offensive line, but if that's their baseline, I'm fairly optimistic for the rest of the year. I'll put it that way. I think they're going to have a real problem with Iowa. But I'm looking at these Big 12 scores, and I'm looking at what Iowa State did, and it's like the recipe to success here was don't turn the football over and play to your defense. Does that sound familiar?
Right, exactly. Patrick Vint, I don't know if you're probably aware of him from Twitter. He used to do Black Heart Gold Pants and then Go Iowa Awesome. He started a Substack a few weeks ago called Hawkeye State, and he wrote something this morning that's called Grandmaster. Kirk Ferentz, Endgame Expert is the subheading. And Pat went into how he started to play a lot of chess during COVID, and he went into basically the art of chess strategy. And that is that the best grandmasters, the best players of chess, from the first moves of a game, they're already extrapolating leverage and edges they're going to deploy later on in the game, as it is a piece removal by piece removal by piece removal until the Anaconda has left you without any oxygen. And I think that is very apt. It was a really good article. Iowa is 62-2 over their last 64 games, where they had since 2014, the end of the regular season, when they've held a lead of 8 points or more at any point in time in the game, they're 62-2.
Wow.
If you get up 8 points or more, if you get down 2 scores
to
Iowa,
crazy. That is a crazy
you're in trouble.
stat.
62-2. Since That's football meltdown against Nebraska in the 2014 regular season finale, Iowa is 62-2 in games where it holds a lead of 8 points or more at any point in the game. That's from Patrick Vint, and I trust that he's correct in that. And Matt Campbell, even though it's a different conference with different DNA in the conference, different approaches to offense and defense, Campbell has built a program that's very tough, that certainly can trade punches in the trenches when the defense is on the field, and they need to get that offensive line up there. And if Iowa State turns the corner and actually wins in the margins with special teams, that was a very good beginning for this year's special teams and a special team coach. That's probably going to lead to another at least one win a season for them. And one more win a season is pretty significant.
Well, and especially in this game, I mean, Iowa is just historically dominated in special teams since Campbell got there. Like, it's been a train wreck, right? Even that game last year that Iowa State won.
Is it true the last time Trump was at an Iowa State game was the game that like took 7 hours and Iowa State fumbled a punt late in the game, and that was the difference?
Probably.
I heard someone say that. Don't quote me on it. But anyhow, Not to bring that back up.
No, I don't know. The thing about this game, and this is what terrifies me for Iowa State, is still so this young quarterback, Rocco Becht, is, I mean, he's traditional. Like, if you're going to play ball control and twin tights and do what Iowa State's going to do this year, he's a pretty good, like, pedigree to do that. Coach's kid, sat back there and watched.
Game manager?
Yeah.
Is he a game manager style?
Yes. That's exactly what he is.
Yeah. Play to your defense special team.
That's exactly what he did. He was a distributor against Northern Iowa. 18 or 20 pass attempts by Iowa State quarterbacks. 8 were to tight ends. Which I think it's really interesting. It's not a great formula to beat Iowa normally, but I guess what I'm saying here, like, when Iowa State, a lot of these Campbell years, I left going like, I thought they were just as good as Iowa, but Iowa's defense would just lure Purdy into losing his mind, right? And he'll have like 5 out-of-body plays in the game, and then it's over. You can't lose the turnover battle to Iowa by 3 and win. You just can't. And that's still the one thing with me. It's like, Becht, I know what they think he is, but he's never seen anything like what he's going to see on Saturday afternoon. So I'm still very hesitant in that aspect of this game.
Right. Quarterback play, even if, say, Cade McNamara is limited, cerebrally, Iowa has an advantage because he's been to the
no
shoe.
Doubt.
He's been everywhere. This is Rocco's first start against a Power 5 conference school and arguably the second best defense in college football over the past 6 years combined. And they're not going to be that good, but just like Iowa State's going to have some wrinkles for Iowa, Iowa's going to have some wrinkles for him. And to me, for Iowa State to win, I go back to what Norm Parker once told me. We were at an iClub event. I think it was actually in Boone, an iClub outing, and Norm and I were having dinner together before we all got up and talked on stage. And Norm told me that his defense is not complicated. It's very simple. They stay mostly in their base. This was Norm before Phil, mixed in the Raider packages and more blitzing. Norm didn't. Norm just kept going like this, meaning we're in the same set. Abdul Hodge and Chad Greenway would look over, and Norm's going, do it again. Same thing, same base, same cover 2 that we've been running, 4-3 cover 2. And Norm did that because he said that he didn't believe that 80 to 85% of college quarterbacks were patient enough to take what Iowa's defense did give them. And there were things there. You can beat a zone, but you've got to be patient. And going over the middle deep is a death sentence. And then that next year,
I think Brock Purdy learned.
Austin Arnaud threw 4 or 5 and I'm not trying to hate on Austin. Sorry, Austin, you're catching it straight here. I love you, buddy. But it was like, what? It was at the 35-0 game in Kinnick. Austin and I sat there. I'm like, this is exactly what Norm told me a few months ago. Most quarterbacks aren't patient enough. And the DNA of that defense is still within Phil Parker's defense. And they do make quarterbacks be patient to put together 6, 7, 8, 9 play drives. If you're going to score, they tip their cap to you and say, we don't think you can do that 3 times in one game. And they're usually right. So Rocco Becht, this will be a great test for him. And it'll be fascinating to see if these two teams really are a bit limited and we just have an old-fashioned rock fight, hopefully not as ugly and boring as last year's game, even though Iowa State fans would feel that it was a beautiful thing to get that win. But if we're all talking objectively from a football standpoint, it sucked. It was a shitty game. Shitty game. I don't want that.
What are you – the number was at 35.5, I think, when it came out. Where do you – I'm not – it's only Tuesday night. I'm not asking you to make a prediction, but like –
No. I think
right
35.5. You divide that by 2. What are we talking about? 17.5, 18 to 15, something like that in there. Or was my math off? 18. God dang it, man. I don't mess with the streak. I'd go under.
Yeah, I think I would too.
I think it's going to be like 24-9, 24-10. And whether that's Iowa or Iowa State right now, I don't know. I really don't. I'm not being coy. I picked Iowa in the preseason, but I thought it was close. And I used to say, whenever I think Iowa and Iowa State's going to be close and the game is played in Ames, I'm going to take Iowa State. This year, I did not do that because of the things that we had heard all summer that may happen to Iowa State's team, with some guys being withheld. Your quarterback's withheld. Jarrell Brock's withheld. Unfortunately, Jake Remsburg got caught up in some bullshit too, which I think is crap. But anyway, I digress. I think
he'll be back midway.
Right. I think quarterback plays is, and I know this is hardly freaking me going out on a limb, but I really think when you're talking about Rocco Becht going up against that defensive front that Phil Parker's going to throw out, even though they're not last year. But then the equalizer is Cade McNamara is not 100%. And it will not surprise me one bit if we see Deacon Hill playing significant snaps in this game, because
that's terrifying if you're Iowa.
Oh,
because Iowa State's defense is legit. I don't know about the offense, but that Iowa State defense they're live.
Yeah. So to me, Chris, honestly, and this is a no play for me. I would not play this game unless I was forced to. Like, you're
sit back and enjoy it and hope your team wins.
Yeah, I'm not going to play it. I've got all my wagers for this coming week already set, and none of them have the Iowa State game in it. Typically, I'd say Iowa, take the under, and the under may still hit, but I'm not going to spend money on it.
The under is 14-4 in the last 18. I thought I read in this game
with Iowa, or this game.
No, this game, the under.
Oh, I'm surprised it's not like 16-2. I mean, there's been some ugly sticks in this series.
The old Steele Jance game, man.
Yeah, Steele freaking Jance. I recall that one.
Iowa icon.
Some very difficult sound offs through the years of the Iowa State. I mean, I would sometimes almost I didn't throw up, but it was so much. And back then, I had my entire livelihood was riding on Iowa winning football games, which was a shitty way to live life, honestly. That Iowa State game.
Try having your livelihood being on Iowa State winning football games.
Props. You're right. You're made of something tougher than me. But you know what? It's this year, this game, all the previous years do not matter. When they settle in to kick the ball, Donald Trump does not matter. None of it matters. It's just going to come down to the quarterback play and which team doesn't choke. I actually kind of feel like one of these teams is going to lose this game. That makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, which was weird because Iowa State did everything it could to lose the game last year.
Absolutely, you did. It's unbelievable.
The goal line,
never really seen anything like it.
They had no business winning that game, and they'd go on that 99-yard drive at the end. Yeah,
they deserved it. They deserved to win that game.
Yeah, they earned it in that way. You're right.
Right. Yeah,
who would have thought? What's funny is that drive, it won't be considered iconic because of how bad the season went.
Right.
It was definitely the highlight of last year. But then that Deckers is the guy who leads you on it, and Jarrell Brock, and just wild. Yeah, I cap it off for me. I left Jack Trice last Saturday really encouraged about the year, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they beat Iowa, but I think Iowa State's a bowl team. Where I didn't know going into it. I think they are. And maybe that's just 6. I don't know, but I think they're a bowl team. That defense is loaded.
The culture and tradition that Matt Campbell has there on defense, and he wants to get special teams and the offense on the side too. That defense is legit. They play so well. They play connected typically from year to year. This is an opponent that has been a bit of a struggle for them because it has seemed like Matt has wanted to just go play phone booth football with Kirk. Mm-hmm. And I've always felt that was a bad idea because Kirk invented the shit. But I just am not confident that Cade McNamara is going to play the majority of the snaps in this game. And if he doesn't, I was in deep trouble. Iowa will have to win a game the way that Iowa State won last year, which now I'm talking myself into absolutely I'm going to get down on this game, and I'm taking the under. I'm going to hammer it hard.
Heard it here. All right, brother. This was fun. We'll be back next week. People have been wanting us to come back, and we're going to do mostly football, but we'll do a lot of fun stuff too.
We will. Good to see you, man. Take care.
You too. He's John Miller. My name's Chris Williams. Thanks for watching. If you watched on the YouTube stream, and two guys named Chris coming up on Thursday. We've got Firmly Entrenched, and we've also got Legends and Listeners, The Hook. Full week for you here on Iowa Everywhere.